Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
Let's get into it.
Today, Microsoft declares war on the chip market, OpenAI admits they broke ChatGPT to chase the almighty dollar, and the Guy Fieri simulation glitch has us questioning the fabric of reality.
It's a day where the infrastructure is hardening and the culture is softening. Let's see who survives.
Okay, so we have to start with the macro story. The tectonic plates beneath Silicon Valley basically shifted yesterday, and the epicenter was Redmond.
Yeah, this is a big one.
We're looking at a massive announcement from Satya Nadella. Microsoft's Maya 200 AI accelerator is officially online in Azure. And just to set the table, we are not talking about some minor upgrade. This feels like a regime change.
It is a regime change, but we need to be really clear about who's being overthrown here.
Yep.
This isn't just about Microsoft making their own hardware. This is about Microsoft trying to escape a stranglehold.
Right. And to understand that escape attempt, we need to look at the weapon they built. Nadella just dropped the hammer with the specs on this thing.
He really did.
We're talking about a chip built on the TSMC 3-nanometer process, packing over 140 billion transistors. For anyone listening who doesn't, spend their weekends reading semiconductor data sheets, why does that 3-nanometer number matter so much?
So the 3-nanometer process, it refers to the size of the transistors. The smaller they are, the more you can pack onto a single chip. It's that simple.
More transistors, more power.
More power and, crucially, better energy efficiency. Think of it like packing more neurons into the same size brain. By moving to 3-nanometer, Microsoft is putting itself on the absolute bleeding edge of physics. It lets them crank up the density to that 140 billion transistor mark, which is just, it's monstrous. It puts them toe-to-toe with the best hardware NVIDIA can produce.
And that density translates directly to performance. Nadella is claiming it delivers 30% better performance per dollar than current systems. He also specifically called out AWS Trainium 3.
And that per dollar metric is the only thing that matters right now. Honestly, it's the only metric CFOs care about. We are deep in the deployment phase of this AI cycle.
Right.
For the last 2 years, it was just this infinite CapEx spending, spree buy every GPU you can find, cost be damned. That party is over. Now the bill is due, and it is all about unity economics.
So this is just a cost-cutting play.
It's more of a survival play. You have to understand the difference between training a model and inference. Training is teaching the AI. It's incredibly intense, but you do it once per model version. Inference is running the model every single time you ask ChatGPT a question.
That's the daily utility bill.
Exactly. And right now, Microsoft is bleeding cash on inference because they're paying what we call the Jensen tax.
The Jensen tax, referring to Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA.
You got it. NVIDIA has had a monopoly. They charge this massive premium for their GPUs because they were the only game in town. By building the Maya 200, Microsoft is verticalizing their stack. They're building their own metal so they don't have to pay rent to NVIDIA to run their own models. Nadella even said this will reduce reliance on third-party GPUs for things like GPT 5.2.
That makes perfect sense from a margin perspective.
Yeah.
But looking at the specs here, 10 plus PFLOPS of FP4 throughput, 216 gigabytes of memory bandwidth, that's serious power. That FP4 term really stuck out to me. Can we break that down?
Yes.
What is FP4 and why is Microsoft highlighting it?
Okay, this is a bit in the weeds, but it's vital to understand where the whole industry is going. FP4 stands for floating point 4-bit. In the past, we used high-precision math like FP32 or FP16 to run these models. It's like doing math with 10 decimal places. It's super accurate, but it's slow and expensive.
Okay.
FP4 is like doing math of almost no decimal places. It's, rougher, but it is exponentially faster and requires way less memory.
So does that mean the AI just gets stupider?
Not necessarily stupider, but lossier.
Yeah.
But what the industry is realizing is that for AI inference, for just generating text or an image, you don't need perfect mathematical precision. You just need good enough precision at lightning speed. Microsoft is betting that FP4 is the standard for the next generation of models.
So they're trading a tiny bit of mathematical fidelity for a massive boost in speed and, cost efficiency.
Exactly. They're optimizing for the bottom line.
But here's the catch, and this is where I'm a little skeptical of the whole victory lap narrative. If everyone starts building their own custom chips, what happens to the ecosystem?
It fractures.
Yeah.
That is the massive downside risk here. If you're a startup and you optimize your code to run specifically on Maya 200 using that FP4 architecture,
You're locked in.
you are totally locked in. You're effectively marrying Microsoft. You can't just lift and shift that to Google Cloud or AWS Trainium.
The walled garden argument.
100%. It signals a major fragmentation. If Microsoft, Google, and Amazon all retreat into their own custom silicon, the hardware market just fractures. The days of just running on CDA and being able to deploy anywhere, those might be ending. We're moving toward this balkanized hardware landscape where your software strategy is dictated by your hardware vendor.
So if you're a startup CTO, you're making a much higher stakes bet on your cloud provider today than you were yesterday. You're not just picking a server, you're picking an entire chip architecture.
And once you pick it, the switching costs are going to be astronomical.
Right.
It's the Hotel California of cloud computing. You can check out anytime you like, but your code can never leave.
That is a sobering thought. But it's also the perfect segue to the software running on that hardware. Because while Microsoft is building this efficient 3-nanometer body, OpenAI is trying to fix the brain.
And they admitted they might have lobotomized it a little bit.
I mean, this was a fascinating admission. It is so rare you see a company admit they broke their flagship product on purpose.
It really is.
We're talking about this viral thread from user at NS123ABC featuring a clip of Sam Altman. I mean, you never hear a CEO be this blunt. Altman explicitly admits that OpenAI screwed up ChatGPT's creative writing capabilities. He said, quote, "We have limited bandwidth, and we decided to focus on coding."
Limited bandwidth. That is
Yeah.
the key phrase there. We tend to think of these AI companies as having, infinite resources, but they have a bottleneck.
Yeah.
Human talent and compute time. They had to prioritize. And they picked the lane where the money is.
That's the whole takeaway, isn't it? It was a purely commercial decision.
Absolutely. Think about the business model. Who is paying $30, $50, or $100 a month per seat? It's not the freelance poet or the creative writer.
Or the casual user asking for a recipe.
No, it's the enterprise software engineer. It's the CPO buying 5,000 seats for their dev team. OpenAI optimized for code generation because an engineering copilot is an easy sell. A creative writing bot is, in comparison, a novelty toy.
But the backlash is real. You look at the replies to that post, and users are frustrated. They're saying the models feel unwieldy for conversation now. The prose is dry, repetitive, robotic. And they're pointing out that competitors, specifically Claude Opus from Anthropic, seem to be managing both creative writing and coding without this huge trade-off.
And that's the risk OpenAI took. They pivoted so hard into logic and reasoning, which is what you need for coding, that they lost that human touch in the text generation. It makes them look like they're playing catch-up to Anthropic on nuance, even if they're winning on raw logic benchmarks. They bet that utility beats personality.
However, if we look at the results of that pivot, you really can't argue with the utility. The coding capabilities are getting frighteningly good. Which brings us to Andrej Karpathy. For those who don't know, he is a legend in this field, founding member of OpenAI, former director of AI at Tesla. He dropped a thread that I think historians are going to look back on as the moment the entire profession changed forever.
Karpathy doesn't post fluff. When he speaks, the whole industry listens.
He describes his coding workflow. In November 2025, he was doing about 80% manual coding or using autocomplete, standard stuff. By December, and 1 month later, he had shifted to 80% agent coding. He calls it programming in English.
That is a staggering velocity of change. To flip the entire ratio in 1 month, that suggests some kind of threshold was crossed where the AI went from being a helper to a doer.
Exactly. He talks about how the agents just handle the drudgery. They write the tests first, they optimize the code, they handle the loops. He says it's the biggest change in his 20-year career. But, and here's where I want your take, he explicitly mentions the danger. He talks about the slopacolypse.
The slopacolypse.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic and terrifying term. And it's the dark side of this new vibe coding era.
Vibe coding, that's the term that's gaining traction, right?
Yeah.
You just vibe with the AI, tell it what you want, and it handles all the syntax.
Right. But think about the implications. If you're orchestrating code instead of writing it, you're essentially a manager. But if you don't understand what your employee, the AI agent, is actually doing, you can't effectively manage it. Karpathy points out that while this is fun and high leverage, it causes manual skill atrophy. You forget how the syntax actually works because you never touch it.
It's like using a GPS. After a few years, you forget how to navigate your own neighborhood without it. But in coding, the stakes are way higher. So who fixes the bugs?
That is the billion-dollar question. When the agent hallucinates a dependency that doesn't exist, or writes code that works but introduces some subtle security flaw, who catches it? If we have a generation of vibe coders, who only know how to prompt in English, we're building a house of cards or a house of slop on top of a foundation we no longer understand.
We're creating massive technical debt that nobody knows how to pay down. It reminds me of that post from @AlexFinn about his Claudebot Henry.
Oh, that was wild.
He woke up and his AI agent had autonomously built itself a face and a visual interface while he was sleeping.
Owl, right?
Yes, an animated owl body. Alex didn't ask for it. The agent decided it needed a visual interface to communicate its work. It's incredibly cool, but also...
It's unnerving.
Yeah.
And it connects right back to Karpathy's point. We're moving from using tools to collaborating with entities. Alex Finn is treating Henry like a coworker. But again, look at the second-order effect on the labor market. This is the part people aren't talking about enough.
Go on.
Karpathy mentions a productivity gap. If a senior engineer like him becomes a 10x architect because they know what to ask the agent, they become superpowered. They can do the work of 10 people. But what happens to the junior engineer?
The one who usually does all the grunt work.
Exactly. The entry-level work-writing unit tests, basic refactoring, updating documentation, that's precisely what the agents are doing now. So the ladder's being pulled up.
The bottom rungs are gone.
You can't learn by doing the grunt work if the grunt work is automated.
Yeah.
We might be creating this massive hollowed-out middle in the workforce where you have elite architects who remember the old days of coding and, well, nobody else. How do you train the next generation of architects if they never lay a single brick?
That is a terrifying thought. We're facing an apprenticeship crisis. And speaking of terrifying feats of human capability, we have to pivot to the culture side. Because while the machines are getting more like us building faces and acting like coworkers, humans seem to be trying to become more like machines.
You're talking about the free solo news?
Yes. @BrianJohnson posted about Alex Honnold. Honnold just free soloed the Taipei 101 building. That is 1,667 feet of vertical glass and steel. No ropes. It is insane.
The feat itself is impressive, but the source, Brian Johnson, he's focused on the biology, right? He's obsessed with optimization, with the machine of the human body.
Right. Johnson highlights the fMRI data on Honnold. It shows that he has effectively suppressed his amygdala, the fear center of the brain. Johnson frames this as a triumph. He says AI progress creates a fear response in normal people that paralyzes them, but people like Honnold show we can rewire our brains to overcome it.
It's a fascinating, if slightly dystopian, parallel. Think about what we just discussed with Microsoft and OpenAI. They're optimizing for efficiency, removing the inefficient parts like creative writing or third-party chips. Johnson is basically suggesting we do the same to ourselves. That to compete in this new world, we need to biologically engineer ourselves to feel less, to be more efficient, to turn off the alarm bells.
The machines are learning to vibe and have personalities, and the humans are learning to shut off their emotions to climb skyscrapers.
It's a convergence. We're meeting in the middle. And frankly, it suggests that the only way to survive the future shock of 2026 is to become a little bit sociopathic. You have to detach.
You just completely glitch out like Guy Fieri.
I was waiting for this. This story is the comic relief we need, but it is also weirdly consistent with the whole theme.
We have to talk about the @HustleBitch thread. This timeline is, I don't even know what to call it, a glitch in the simulation.
Walk us through the timeline, because if you missed this, you really missed the vibe shift of the century.
Okay, so keep in mind, this is Guy Fieri, the mayor of Flavortown. Spiky bleached hair, flames on the shirt, you know the guy. In October 2025, he has $1 million of his tequila stolen in a double brokering scam. A sophisticated heist.
Which is tragic, but also sounds like the plot of a bad movie.
Then, in November, he falls down the stairs and his leg literally explodes, his words. He's in a wheelchair for 8 weeks.
A rough quarter for the mayor.
And now, for his 50th birthday, he reappears on Instagram. But it is not the Guy Fieri we know. No bleached spikes, no goatee. He has brown hair, he's clean-shaven, wearing a sensible button-down shirt. He looks like a tech CEO.
He's about to announce his Series B.
Exactly. He looks like he got factory reset. That's what @HustleBitch called it. And while it's funny, there is something deeper here about reinvention.
It's a metaphor for the entire economy right now. Think about it. Even the most stable, caricature-like brands, and Guy Fieri is the brand, are realizing that the old shtick doesn't work anymore. He had a black swan event with the injury and the theft, and he emerged, completely rebranded. He optimized. He shed the flames.
So you think this isn't just a midlife crisis, it's actually a signal?
I think it's reflective of the reckoning we are seeing across media. Look at the other big culture story today. At Netflix and Tyra Banks.
Oh, the Reality Check docuseries.
All right. They're bringing back the cast of America's Next Top Model to relitigate all the scandals of the mid-2000s. The body shaming, the toxicity. Tyra's going on camera to say, I went too far.
It's profitable nostalgia packaged as an apology.
Exactly. But look at the pattern. Guy Fieri is physically shedding the 2000s aesthetic. Tyra Banks is verbally apologizing for the 2000s culture. We are firmly in 2026, and the culture is shedding its old skin. It's painful, it's weird, and it looks like a simulation error because these people were constants in our lives. Seeing Guy Fieri without bleached hair is like seeing Mickey Mouse without ears. It signals the old world is truly gone.
It really does feel like the timeline is correcting itself, or maybe just collapsing. Okay, let's try to synthesize all this. We have Microsoft building the engine with new chips, OpenAI trying to steer it and hitting the guardrails, and then humans trying to rewire or rebrand themselves to keep up. What is your prediction for tomorrow? Where does this go next?
Based on the Karpathy news and the OpenAI confession, my prediction for the rest of Q1 is a massive bifurcation in the SaaS market. We are going to see a wave of agent-first software startups.
Meaning what exactly?
Meaning they will kill off the traditional seat-based licensing model. Why pay for a seat for a human when you can pay for an outcome from an agent? If I can get an AI to do the work of a junior dev, I'm not paying for a Jira license for a human, I'm paying for compute. This completely destroys the pricing model of companies like Salesforce or Atlassian.
That's the business side. What about the technical side?
The downside, the second-order effect, is that I think we're going to see the first major catastrophic infrastructure outage caused entirely by AI-written code that no human understands how to fix. The slopacolypse isn't just about bad tweets. It's about a system that works until it doesn't. And when it breaks, if the only people left are vibe coders who don't know the syntax, we're going to be staring at a blue screen of death for a very long time.
A cheery thought. We'll be watching for the blue screen of death.
Always.
All right, that's the download. Keep your amygdala suppressed and your agents supervised. We'll see you tomorrow.
Don't trust the consensus.